Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, 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 hey.
Mm, Hello.
All right. Hey, folks, we're going to have a bunch of people in here. So we're excited to have you. Please use chat right now as your primary way of communicating. And we'll periodically open up the mic and you guys will get a chance to ask questions. Although you can ask questions in chat throughout all of this.
Good afternoon, folks.
Hello. I will mute all while we all gather here. So welcome everyone. Hey, Ethan. Good to have you here. Sebastian, good to see you. Like this friendly faces. Pal. Oh, awesome. We've got some repeat attendees. That's awesome. Good to have you guys here. Bunch of new folks joining as well. And so, welcome everyone. We are going to give people till 7 past the hour to join. So you still have 5 minutes to go and, you know, grab some more coffee or a cocktail. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, or, anything else. Louis, what you got there? What are you drinking?
I have a delicious iced coffee. I yeah, I make a couple a day. Sometimes I'll make a coffee in I'm not sure if you guys have heard of a mocha pot. It's kind of like an Italian percolator. Um, but it's like in between like a drip coffee and an espresso. It's really
Fancy.
good. Hmm. It's fun.
Awesome.
Get to try out different coffee beans. Sometimes I have to make decaf because it's much more caffeine than this one's just a Keurig, simple Keurig coffee.
Mhm. I bet you folks attending the boot camp didn't think they would get to hear all about your coffee drinking habits, but they would have been wrong.
I know they're it's
We're
I
full
know
of
it's so
surprises.
interesting. Yeah.
We are full of surprises around here. Okay.
Next I need to make an AI agent to tell me how to make the best coffee.
Indeed. Welcome, folks that are just joining. Hello, hello. We are gonna wait another 4 minutes for people to join. If you're curious why we give people till 7 past the hour, it's because I used to work at Google, and that was our policy that you had 7 minutes you could be late to a meeting, you know, afterwards. You could still be late, but but we generally celebrated people not having you wait more than 7 minutes. And as I've told the story, I think many times now that um, because the Google campus is so large that there'd be times where you'd have one meeting on one part of the campus and another, next meeting at completely opposite part of the campus. And like, it's actually a lot of work. You have to go like find a Google bike and like jump on it and kind of race across the campus. And people would be like running into meetings, just like dripping sweat, like huffing and puffing. And yeah, that was always fun to celebrate that when that was the case. All right. A couple of more minutes and then we will get started.
By the way, while we're waiting, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Feel free, this is a place to also get to meet new people, so feel free to drop any LinkedIn links. Tell us where you're from, what you do, why you're interested in building AI agents, etc. Whatever you want. You can use the chat for that.
Hmm. Oh, and one more thing, if we could ask you guys to turn on your cameras, like unless you're in the witness protection program and then you're exempted, but otherwise we really enjoy seeing your faces. It's much easier to communicate things when we can see whether you get it or not. We do a lot of like, does this make sense? and you can be like, yep, that makes sense, or like, I don't know what you're saying, or you suck, you know. I like all of it. You can heckle me, think of me as like a stand-up comedian that like is going to teach you some AI stuff. I'm not as funny, but you could make this a lot funnier if you heckle me. And I have joining me here, it seems, Luis and probably some other folks from MindStudio, a whole bunch of people who are already certified MindStudio developers, or people who have just finished our last 2-day boot camp that we did on Monday and Tuesday. I see a couple of folks from that. And so if you ask questions inside of chat, there'll be plenty of people to answer them as I'm talking. And so like, don't wait for me to stop. If you've got questions, just ask them. And then if there are questions that either don't get answered or we want to kind of double click on, Luis can help me when I take sort of little breaks, can help bubble up general themes and we can double click into them. Yeah, cool. All right. I see Justin doing that kind of thumbs up. Yep, we take that, we take that. Okay, so we got 116 people in the room. I can see it looks like maybe like 20 of you. So, hey, please turn on your cameras. Again, if you're having like such a bad hair day that like you just can't stand to see yourself, you're exempt. But I can't imagine all of you are. So, hey, good to see you guys. We're gonna get started. Yeah, awesome. Welcome, welcome everyone. Thank you again. Thanks for turning on your cameras. I really appreciate that. It's just so much easier for me to teach when I can see people's faces than just talking to blank. My name is, excuse me, my name is Dimitri, and I'm the CEO of MindStudio. I assume because you're here, we're probably connected on LinkedIn, or we're connected, through someone on LinkedIn, or maybe somebody told you about it. Doesn't matter. If you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, please find me and connect with me. In fact, here, I'll make that easier for you. This is me on LinkedIn, and feel free and add me and I will accept your connection. I am joined here, as I mentioned, by other team members at MindStudio and a whole bunch of people, again, whose faces I see, who are MindStudio experts at various levels. They've just graduated our recent boot camp that we did, etc. So it's great to have everybody here. This 2 hours that we're going to spend together is a format we call our 2-hour workshop or 2-hour boot camp, right? And my goal here in these 2 hours is to teach you a whole bunch of really, really important skills that you can just start using right after this thing ends, okay? And like, hopefully you're like itching to use them and you're like, okay, let's get over with this thing. I'm just going to go play on my own. That's my goal. And so my what I'm going to try to get you to is I'm going to teach you kind of the fundamentals of AI stuff, in case some of you didn't know that. We'll talk about some prompting. We'll talk about building agents. We'll demonstrate a bunch of agents. We'll build a few agents together in these 2 hours. And you will leave this 2-hour boot camp having the skills already to start building agents for yourself or your team, etc. Now, there's a lot more to learn beyond what I'm going to teach you in 2 hours, but you will have like all of the foundations to start building your own agents immediately, and certainly to go down the path of learning, either completely on your own. We have this thing called MindStudio University. If you just go to our website and click on Learn, there's many hours of YouTube tutorials. There's really awesome written documentation and templates and all of that. All of that is available for you anytime, day or night. And we also do longer versions of what we're going to do here today with you, these boot camps. We do a 2-day, full-day boot camp. We just did the last cohort on Monday and Tuesday of this week. I don't know what week we're in. Yeah, Monday and Tuesday of this week. We have a 30-day boot camp, and so whatever. You can check those out if you're interested afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to start off here by, oops, by frame. I'm going to mute everyone here. I'm gonna start this off here by waving my hands for a moment and like framing this for you, and then I'll share my screen and we'll kind of get into it. Cool? Well, let's practice our thumbs up. Awesome, nice. Okay, and I've got a couple of screens here so I can see everybody's thumbs up. Okay. Um, we now find ourselves in a really strange world. So I started writing code in 1984 when I was 14 years old in high school. And that's what I've done my entire, professional life is I've been in the business of building software. Right before this company, I was at Google for 4 years on the main campus. Before that, I was the chief technology officer of MySpace Music. How many of you remember MySpace? Anybody? A few? Okay. Before that, I built two other venture capital backed companies. One was a big competitor to YouTube called VO Networks. I raised $70 million in venture capital for that. Before that, I built a cybersecurity company called Iconic Systems. I raised $34 million for that. In the mid 90s, I built the web team at this giant Japanese company called Fujitsu. So I'm an old nerd, okay? And I've seen over all these years that I've been paying attention to technology these sort of new waves of capabilities, that companies start to adopt in order to be, more competitive primarily, right? And do their work. And we call this process that companies go through in adopting, each of these new waves of technologies, we call that digital transformation, right? Everybody heard that term, digital transformation? Okay, this is what companies do all the time. Every company is in a constant state of digital transformation as they try to figure out how can we make our employees more productive, smarter, faster? How can we be more competitive? How can we be more strategic? How can we be more efficient? This is like constant going on in executive teams, in operational efficiency teams, and like all the other sort of like teams that are responsible, business analytics, business intelligence, all these teams that are responsible of creating efficient, high performing companies. And again, I'm old enough to remember the waves of like most companies didn't have personal computers for for their workers, and people are still using typewriters and stuff like that. I'm old enough to remember that when companies started adopting PCs for each employee, and then laptops, and then we got the internet, and they got email, and then they learned to use Google search, right? And we got the cloud, and we got mobile, and we got SaaS. And so like each one of these things is this like giant wave where companies then scramble to figure out like what should I do? What should I adopt? What new software should I license and integrate and get my team to learn to use, right? So this is again constantly happening, and we are currently all together in the largest one of these waves that any of us have ever seen. It's come on dramatically faster, obviously, than prior waves that took time because people sort of weren't connected with one another, and like new ideas spread slowly. Now new ideas spread like that because of social media. And so every company that has employees that are knowledge workers that use computers to do things at this moment is trying to figure out, how do I level up my employees? How do I make them more competent in using AI? Which, by the way, you guys are voluntarily yourselves now doing. You're doing what your companies desperately want you to do, which is to get better at AI, and that's what we're going to do here today. Um, and of course, they're trying to figure out how to get all your peers who didn't show up here and kind of don't necessarily even want to learn this stuff, figure out how to get them to learn this and level up. And then they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we start to leverage these things to make our businesses run more efficiently? And so this thing that we're all going to be talking about here today is, again, in my opinion, but I propose that it would be hard to challenge, that this is the most valuable skill set that is desperately needed by everyone, but is held by very, very few. And this is what again, this is what we're involved with and what I'm going to start talking to you about. Okay, let me quickly share my screen now. Those who know me or know of me know that I'm famously anti-presentation. I very much dislike people presenting things. And so I apologize that I'm doing this, but I think this is the best way to do this quickly. And this is also the last presentation you will see from me, like ever in your lifetimes of knowing me. So this is it. All right, can you see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay. And I'm going to go really fast because again, I want to get out of slides and I want to get into demos and building. So like, you know, if you need me to slow down, let me know. Okay. All right. So again, MindStudio, hopefully you guys have all checked out the website, mindstudio.ai. It's a platform for optimizing business processes using AI. What kind of business processes? Every kind of business process imaginable. You know, like pick any job function, executive, ops, sales, marketing, IT, it doesn't matter. All of them, HR, all of them are just business processes that can be optimized dramatically using AI. And MindStudio makes that very easy for people to learn to do, to build. We call these AI agents, to build these AI agents, even if you have no technical skills whatsoever, even if you can't spell HTML. Well, actually, you need to be able to spell because you need to be able to read, but you get my point. Like, you never have to write any code in order to build extraordinarily valuable, like what would have seemed as science fiction just, you know, last year, uh, extremely valuable AI agents that do what? That automate the things that you do now manually, okay, and your peers do manually. Well, you can automate a lot of those things. Some things you can automate completely where you just don't have to do them anymore. They just get done. Other things you automate partially where you're still involved in it. But like you're not spending so much time and mental energy on a bunch of stuff. Again, I'll give you a bunch of examples here shortly. But where you've got these little helpers, and they can be in the form of like a little button that you just push. And whenever you needed to do this thing that would have taken you 2 hours to do, well, you don't need to do it anymore. You just need to get ready to do it and push the button. And it just does it in the next, whatever, 1 minute. And then you move on to the next thing. Okay, we're going to make those kinds of buttons. Okay, so MindStudio makes it easy to learn to build these agents and easy to build these agents that automate manual work. There are over 200,000 of these AI agents that have already been built and deployed using MindStudio. They sit in all kinds of organizations. You know, individuals use them, solopreneurs, small, medium-sized businesses, big enterprises, government. His Majesty's Revenue and Customs is the British tax authority, the British Internal Revenue Service, okay, uses this to automate lots of parts of recruiting. Okay, ServiceNow is a customer, uses this to automate configuration of multi-million-dollar sales demos that they do, and things that used to take 9-person weeks to do now are just done by an AI agent at the push of a button. New York Times is a customer, a company called Advance Local, which is a 100-year-old newspaper publishing company, has over 300 MindStudio AI agents that are running that are automating news gathering, fact checking, quote pulling, doing all kinds of things. By the way, all built by one person, non-technical person. His name is David Cohn, over a year period of time. Okay. And David has now hired this other person out of our community. His name is Lewis, that is helping him to build more because 300 is just the start. They have a need for many more of these agents. Okay, cool. So lots of people are using it. These are not yet enterprise customers, but MindStudio is being used inside of these companies right now. And so there's like a bunch of names here. And again, all of this is not mostly. All of this is bottom up. We actually have no salespeople, zero. All of our growth is product led, and all of it is bottom up. Employees find it, bring it into their companies, and then a bunch of employees start using it. And then later, maybe procurement or IT or somebody else reaches out to us and says, hey, you know, can we bundle all of this in an enterprise deal? Okay. By the way, we also have no marketing people, zero. And so this is our marketing as we teach people. Okay. MindStudio is venture backed. This is my third company as a founder that's venture backed. I've now raised over $140 million. Here so far, we've raised $36 million. You can find the list on our website. This is just partial list, but there's like really interesting people here. You know, the former CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, lots of VPs at Google where I used to work and things like that. All right. So, kind of the way we see it at a high level, kind of the situation again that we all find ourselves in today is no matter what business you're in, I don't care, any industry, any size, it doesn't matter. Your business does something, and you've got some business processes, and they work in some way, right? Like, otherwise, you don't have a business. And so you got a business, and your existing processes work. They work fine, but you would love to make them work better, faster, and more autonomously because that's what everybody wants. It's like, let's do this thing we do, but let's just do it better. Let's do it faster with less effort and more consistently and more intelligently. Like, this is what all companies dream about. This is the North Star for digital transformation. Um, the people that know where the inefficiencies in the business are not some consultants that are going to come in and spend a bunch of time interviewing your staff and do that. The people that know where the inefficiencies are the people themselves that are doing this every day. They know what they need to do that they wish they didn't have to do because it's stupid and it's just repetitive and it's nonsense, right? And so the team knows where the inefficiencies are because they're the ones that are creating the inefficiencies. They're doing it. And so our approach basically to the market is like, just train your team to recognize these inefficiencies and train them in MindStudio to simply fix those inefficiencies, to make them much more efficient. And so any employee can become a digital transformation champion inside of their organization by first focusing on themselves. And then if they're, more ambitious, growing outside of that, and then helping their teammates and going up and becoming the chief AI officer. And we're seeing these kinds of like progressions of people's careers that have learned to use MindStudio, started doing it for themselves, helped their peers, their managers noticed, got promoted. Now they're like doing digital transformation across the org. Okay. And MindStudio kind of offers this comprehensive solution for that, which is, we give away these free classes. And also we've got, again, a really robust, lots of people give us praise on our video tutorials and our documentation. So if you get interested in this, you can just go learn completely on your own, at your own pace, however you want to do it. You can come to our boot camps, and then you can choose, do I want to do it myself or do I want to hire somebody else to actually do this for me? And so depends on who the company is. They do one of these things or sometimes both. We make it super easy to use MindStudio sort of gradually. We don't ask companies to standardize and all of that. I'm not going to spend really any time on this, but like, if you just look on LinkedIn, you will see lots and lots of people that love MindStudio and what it's done for them, right? Across, you pick the company and thing. Okay, we are now, you and I here are in this 2-hour live workshop. Okay, we do these weekly. Again, if you want to do more of this, there are these boot camps, you guys can check them out. And now, again, very quickly, and we're going to jump into this. So the platform is this builder that we're about to start using. It's a no-code builder. Although if you do write code, you can get even more out of it, but you don't need to write code. We're going to teach you to use this today. Like, this is what's coming up right now. Lots of companies, obviously, that are our customers really, really care about security and privacy and compliance. The British IRS is sensitive about these things. We have a trust center, we have case studies and things. So if your company is super, which it is, secure, then rest assured we respect that and are too. We instantly give you access to over 200 models from all the model providers. You don't have to go create accounts on your own, get API keys or any of that. It just comes built in. We'll talk about this later, but once we teach people to build AI agents manually, we show them that they actually don't have to build them manually. They can just tell the MindStudio AI agent to build the workflow, in a sense, vibe code it's called, and do that. But today I'm going to show you how to build these things manually. Yeah. And then you can build all kinds of AI agents. I'll spend very little time on this, but one type are agents that are user-facing, meaning they're applications. You can access them on mobile, you can access them on desktop. They have screens and forms, just like any other application you use. You can easily make those kinds of AI-powered applications using MindStudio. We're going to make one of those. Another type are things that don't have any front-end interfaces. They're just backends that run on a schedule typically, okay? And so that company I told you about, Advanced Local, the newspaper publishing company that has over 300 agents, they have dozens of agents that just run behind the scenes doing things. Every morning at 9 a.m., one of those agents sparks up and does research on the legal industry because they have newspaper journalists, you know, that report on the legal industry. And they used to do that manually, the journalists did. And that would take them about 3 hours of work to go and like see what's happened in the last 24 hours in the legal industry. Well, now they don't have to do that anymore. One of those 300 AI agents just does that 3 hours of work and does it better, invests in a sense more time, analyzes all of it, puts together the entire package of data, and then emails that to all of the journalists in all their newspapers that write about that. So they're, in a sense, analyzing the legal industry and providing that analysis to their journalists that can then write. And that's just one of the agents. And so you can build those kinds of agents really easily. The first agent types that I'm going to demo and we're going to build is an agent that can be triggered via a button in your browser. And because we spend a lot of time in our browsers doing all kinds of things, these buttons are extraordinarily valuable and extraordinarily powerful. And so you can trigger an agent with a click of a button in your browser. You can easily create agents that are email triggered, that as soon as you send them an email to their custom email address that they get automatically, they get that data you're sending them and do whatever it is that you've configured them to do. It might be extract all, you know, all to-dos for every person, you know, extract from me specifically, you know, what my to-dos are, you know, summarize things, create collaterals, whatever. So you can do that. And then there's many other types of agents that are like programmatically driven with this. Okay, one last slide. If people compare us to anyone, sort of like from a competitive standpoint, 9 out of 10 times we get compared to this company called N8N. Has anybody heard of N8N? Yeah, okay. N8N and MindStudio are like Linux and Windows and Mac OS. This is a common thing that we have people saying. Again, in the slide deck that I'm not going to spend much time on, like people literally say this. I've spent 95% less time debugging errors, you know, Mac OS, Windows versus Linux. And so there's a bunch of these things you can just find online of people comparing the easy version of N8N. People compare MindStudio to N8N. Okay, enough of that. Now that we're done with that, let's play. You can still see my screen, is that correct? Get this weird
Yes, we can.
green thing over here. Okay, so this is just a long read. Doesn't matter what it's about. It's a demo. And this long read is dense and has a bunch of like things that I need to pay attention to. And this is, I would propose this is what we, you know, knowledge worker humans do with our lives, is we scan information and we use our minds to try to pull out, make sense of it, and you know, potentially take some notes and do some thinking and like refactor it in some way and repackage it and maybe enrich it and whatever. And this is what we do with our time, okay? But I have a little button and I can just push that button. And whenever I push that button, it grabs all of the content on the page. It's as if I did Command A or Control A and selected all the content on the page and then sends it to whichever AI agent I trigger. Each one of these buttons is an AI agent. This one, I triggered this one. This agent is specifically configured to extract all of the learnings, meaning extract all the salient points that are here, not summarize it. Find all the things that are relevant and put them all in a list like this that I can just parse much faster and easier than I could have parsed by reading this document. By the way, I can then copy this. I can share it with, you know, anyone I want. I can, by the way, continue to engage with this document that's here. And I could say, you know, extract all people and entities mentioned. And it will go and extract all people and entities that are mentioned. And I can give it other commands. You know, this is, hopefully all of you have played with things like ChatGPT, that like you can sort of chat back and forth and get this thing to do something with this data. But again, because it was so easy to just click this button and do that, like I rely on this thing all day. I don't read long reads anymore, meaning other than those for pleasure. But this thing is a game changer. It's a killer app. Okay, let's click on a YouTube video. So this is a 2 hour long conversation with Jeff Bezos. Um, and again, it used to be that I'd be like, okay, it's going to say some interesting things. I need to like spend time on this. I can sort of consume information at like 2 times speed. Like it's overwhelming, but I can do it. This would have taken me an hour. I can push the same button and it knows how to find the transcript that's here. And it grabs the transcript and it sends it to my agent. And it does the same thing. It can do that with a 2 hour video or an 8 hour video or a 10 hour. It doesn't matter. Take all your videos. And so now this is going to take like a minute to run because there's a lot of things in here. But after that minute, I can parse this in a few minutes. And so let's say in 5 minutes, I can digest this conversation while mere mortals would still be listening to the introduction. And then I can digest another 10. And so I can get dramatically more data, dramatically more insight, dramatically more learnings than non-enabled people. There is no way to compete with an enabled, like AI-enabled person and a not AI-enabled person. I propose, like in this new world. It just does not work. Okay. Let's continue. These things also work, again, on any kind of a page. Now, I apologize that I have to take you to Twitter here. I tend not to go these days. But let's say I did want to understand why US jobs are collapsing. I could push this exact same button. And instead of me reading all of this, junk I'll propose, this thing can read all the junk and like pull out all of the goodies that I need to know about what's happening here. And so I can extract smart meaning out of things with the click of a button. Or another example of this is if I'm looking at somebody's, again, profile. This one is on Twitter, but it could be just as easily on, a page of like on, team page on somebody's corporate website or a LinkedIn page, obviously, anywhere where there's like information about a person. In the past, I'd have to like sort of use my time and my mental energy to try to understand Gary. But I don't need to do that anymore. I've got a little button, and this button specifically like looks at this, and it doesn't extract like all learnings. It says like, help me understand what's Gary about. Like, who is he? What's he about? What does he care about? Who does he engage with? What are his political leanings? Like, but whatever it is that I want to know, this thing can extract from me, and I can then look at it and say, okay, I know how to approach Gary. Let's say I was going to try to build a relationship, sell him something, etc. Well, I've got an unfair advantage because I can size up people dramatically faster than mortals. One last thing I'm going to show you on this kind of a button like this is a 182-page financial disclosure from Goldman Sachs. I can push a button, financial analyst, and it will do the exact same thing here, and it does a fundamental analysis on all of this stuff. I'm not going to do it. It takes a couple of minutes to run because it's 182 pages, but I couldn't have done it in a couple of minutes. You see, and that's of insane value. Okay, continuing down the thing. By the way, we're going to start building here in less than 5 minutes. I'm going to show you a couple more demos, and then we're going to go build. So let's say that I'm not currently looking for a position, for a job, but let's say if I was, and obviously lots of people are. This one's in French, and by the way, I could have applied for that, but I wouldn't have known if it would have written a good application. But this one's in English. I have a little, again, in the past, if I wanted to apply for this job, I'd be like, I'd have to like parse this and do a bunch of research about the company and like try to figure out like how my experience can be best described to the hiring manager, in a cover letter, and like all of that always to me was like just daunting. But now I have a little button. It's called Custom Cover Letter Generator. This little button gives me a little form field here, upload. I apologize. One of these days I need to take another 30 seconds to make it prettier. But as I told you, you can make things that are applications that have front ends, like users interact with. This is one of them. And so it asks me to give it my resume, and I can, if I find here it is, give it a resume, and it's going to grab my resume. It already sees the job, and it's going to write a custom cover letter, making it clear why I'm the perfect candidate for this job. Okay? And these cover letters are awesome because, again, this is like better than I would have spent time writing it in this. And it's all about me and how I'm relevant to this position. So I'm the most qualified. I also happen to be the most qualified for this one and this one and this one because all I need to do is push the button and it will explain why I'm the most qualified. And so again, if you're looking for a job, well, this is a game changer. Okay. And then the final demo I'm going to give you is this. So as I mentioned, I have now built 3 venture-backed companies. I've raised uh, just over $140 million in venture capital. So I know lots of venture capitalists. Lots of my founder friends have become venture capitalists, as I joke, went to the dark side. But periodically, I still like to engage in what I call VC collecting. And VC collecting is basically me going through LinkedIn and finding somebody. And again, in the past, if I was like, oh, I want to reach out to this person, I would do the same thing like I was telling you with Gary. It's like, kind of need to do some research, understand who they are, and then, I'll like craft some message to them, with some restrictions in character. And hopefully I can get in touch with them. They'll respond to me. That's extraordinarily unproductive and actually not very successful. I don't do that anymore. Now all I have to do is click this little button. And that's it. And then I can actually close it. I can move on and I can go here and I can say, oh, this person, yeah, she's interesting too. And then I can go on and then say, yep, looks good to me. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually triggering an AI agent that goes off and grabs all of this information, their name, their photo, their current job, their current company, their professional summary, all of their education, all of their key experiences, a bunch of latest posts. Again, this thing goes on and on. It's like big things here. Their LinkedIn profile, it also knows how to find their email address, which, by the way, is not available in LinkedIn. It goes off and uses another service to do that. And it creates a record. And then I have another AI agent that doesn't run on its own. If I want to turn it on, I do it because with great power comes great responsibility. What that agent does is it looks at this database and it starts soliciting all of these people via email. It sends them custom emails asking them to meet with me. If they don't respond in a certain period of time, it writes another different email and sends them. And basically, sometimes I like to joke that it's my harassment agent, that it harasses these VCs to get in touch with me. Okay. And you could also look at, obviously, this is like a sales prospecting thing. Okay. Oh, I guess one last thing I'll show you here is on Instagram. My daughter is starting a slime company, and there it is, Una Slime Co. And I built an AI agent that creates these videos programmatically for. Creates these 1 minute long videos. They also have ASMR on it. It's crazy, right? Like GUI and thing. This is all AI generated, all created with MindStudio. I built this agent in less than 15 minutes without writing any code. Okay, so let's go ahead and play around a little bit. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to build this agent over here that we've been using, this TLDR agent, a button we can just push on either any text or any social media service or YouTube video or PDF. It doesn't matter. Anything you see in the browser, you can push this button and it will extract all the key learnings. It's this, again, killer app. Once you have it, you can never live without it, this button. I can never live without this button. Like 100%. This is the killer app. Once you have it, you will not be able to live without this button. Let's make this button now. Okay. Here's how we do it. We're going to open up a new tab and we're going to go to MindStudio. Okay. And then I'm logged in. And so you should log in too, meaning don't do it now. Don't blink because you'll miss building this agent. You can get this tutorial on how to do it. In fact, right here, so it'll teach you the same thing. Okay. We're going to click on Build New Agent. Okay. Now we're going to give this agent a name. We're going to call it TLDR. Okay. I'm sort of intentionally here zoomed in. This is like typically how you'd see this, but I'm zoomed in so you guys can kind of see my interfaces a bit better. AI agents are made of workflows. You can have one or multiple. Here, we're just going to have one. Workflows have a start, they have an end, and they have things in the middle. Okay, these are called blocks. We're going to click on the start block. Oops, let me refresh this. We're going to click on the start block, and over here, we're going to choose for trigger browser extension. You can see you can choose some of these other things that I mentioned. They can be scheduled, they can be emailed, they can be applications. We're going to make a browser extension agent, so we just choose browser extension. By the way, you don't need to remember any of this stuff. You don't need to take notes as you're watching me here. If you start playing around with MindStudio later, you will see this over and over again, so it'll become second nature. Okay, so you just choose um, you just choose a trigger, and then I'm going to say plus, and we have actually many different types of blocks over here that you can add. There's 110 here. There's another 660 here. I'm just going to choose this first one, generate text. And here, I'm going to write extract all learnings. And then I'm going to write these double curly braces. Double curly braces are these curly little things next to the square braces. And that opens up a dropdown, and I'm going to choose this thing called page content. And that's it. We've actually already built that agent. And I can simply publish it. And now I've built a button that I can press on these here. So these are my pinned agents, they're called. These are my favorites. I use these all the time. I can also click on this and see many other agents that I have access to that are not pinned, including this one that I just built, TLDR, and I'm going to click it. And this thing knows how to analyze all of this. The same button will run just as well as I showed you on YouTube or PDFs or Twitter or LinkedIn or anywhere else you go. Okay. And let's come back to this and let's take a look at what's happening here. Okay. So again, let me just make these kind of the right size perhaps for us. Okay, so we're saying on the start block that we want to run this as a browser extension. As soon as we do that, you may not have noticed, but this thing showed up, these things called launch variables. And what this means is that when you make something that is a browser extension button, simply by choosing browser extension, when you do that, the system automatically knows that it's going to need to grab the URL, this thing over here, and store that in a variable called URL. And it's going to need to grab all the content on the page right here and store that automatically in a variable called page content. And a bunch of other things here that automatically gives us. The only one we care about is this page content right now. And so when we go to the next block, you can think this block is called generate text. Another way of naming it would be call a large language model or talk to a large language model and ask it to do something. In this case, the large language model that we're using, if I scroll down, is Anthropic Claude 3.7 Sonnet, but I can choose from over 200 other models from any provider. So if I wanted to switch this and use this one, I would just click use, and now I've switched that to this model, okay? By the way, I can even compare models against one another in real time by saying, let's compare this model to Gemini 2.5 Pro, for example, and I can add actually, more tabs here, more columns, and I can change this one, let's say, to whatever, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, 3 Sonnet, and I could say, write a poem, and instantly all three of these models are going to start responding to me. I can see how they're doing it. I can see how long it took them to do it, 2,000 milliseconds. I can see this one is still working. The Gemini 2.5, right, it's giving us more stuff. And so as it completes, I can see how long each one of these ran, how much it cost, etc. Okay, anyway, this is beyond the point. So what did we do to build this agent? We said, give it a name, TLDR. We set on the start block, browser extension. As soon as we set that, automatically we got all this content that's going to come to us from any page on which we click the button. We're just using this one thing called page content, and we wrote a prompt, extract all learnings. We could have said summarize this. We could have said analyze this. We could have said actually many, many words that we're about to do. So this is like a horrible prompt. But even with this being a horrible prompt, I found that this prompt is a killer app because all I do is give it whatever junk I'm looking at, and it extracts all the learnings. And that to me is priceless. Okay. Let's build another button just like this. By the way, there's a couple of ways we could do that. We could literally go back to our list of agents that we've built, and then we can, duplicate this, make a copy of it. And we'll just get what we want, and we can simply change it. I'm actually going to do it again, just so you guys can get some muscle memory. I'm going to call this one financial analyst. And then again, you can give it an icon. You can configure all kinds of other things here. You can embed it in your own website. There's like many things you can do. I'm going to say browser extension. We already know that automatically is going to give us page content. I'm going to say plus, generate text. And here, instead of writing the prompt, I'm actually going to click on this little button over here at the bottom right of this box right here. Follow my mouse. I'm going to click on that. Now it's going to open this up full screen. And at the bottom here, there's a button that says generate. And I'm actually going to ask this thing, do a fundamental analysis of a provided stock. Oh my God. I need more coffee today. And say generate. And this thing is going to go and it's going to generate a much better prompt. So instead of me thinking about, okay, what might I want in a fundamental analysis, this thing is going to give me a scaffold. And I can either just accept that scaffold as is, or I can modify it in any way I want. And there you go. Company name, ticker, brief history of found, blah, 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 blah. This is like generally what I would be looking for. And here I can simply say to it that what I wanted to do it on is, and this is a best practice here that we use, is to use these things called XML, which is just writing a label and then end of a label to help the model understand what I'm putting in here. And here I'm just going to give it this page content. Okay. I could have actually just written this and that would have been fine as well. But we teach in our boot camps that this is best practice to do it. Okay, so again, we've built the exact kind of agent that we built before. It's a browser extension agent. It has one block, which is a generate text block. That one block has instructions, a prompt, and it has the thing that we wanted to run against, this page content. Again, don't worry about this. This is not necessary. We just do it for best practice. You could get rid of this. This will work just fine. I'm going to publish this. And now I'm going to go to, let's say, some page that has some information on a stock, or it could be a financial disclosure. It could be anything that's got info on some stock. And I can click here again, and I can find that agent that we just built. There it is. And I can say run. And that agent is going to grab this entire page, all this dirty stuff, all this other junk here. It sees all of this, but it recognizes that what we're looking at is Tesla, and it goes through and it gives me a whole bunch of things, including potentially reasoning of like, how should I think about this? What might be the implications of that? You see? And like, well, how hard was that? Browser extension, generate text, give it some command. You can write it yourself, or you can click here and have AI write it, and then give it the page content. Let's give it the page content as a constant. This, choose browser extensions. So for this pattern, with this one pattern of like making these little buttons that you can push to do amazing things. Again, I've got dozens of these buttons that are amazing. You can build countless new applications for yourself. And yours are going to be different than others. I certainly propose that you build yourself the TLDR thing that you love. And yours might be more nuanced than mine. You can say you only care about these sources, or only do it in this perspective, or from this angle, or like filter it. Like you can give it all kinds of other things. And you can now go build it. So that promise I made you, that before the end of this class, you guys were going to be able to go and build AI agents. I propose I've delivered that to you. Trust me. That pattern, go play with it. Later on today, you're going to be going crazy with ideas. And, if you get a bunch of those, please post them to LinkedIn. Tell people about your aha moments. They love to see it. We certainly love to see it. Okay. Cool. So let's build some more agents, because that's probably the best way to learn to do that, right? Okay, but before we do that, actually, I'm going to go to my workspace, and I'm going to show you another area over here on the left-hand side. See, before this, we clicked on Build New Agent. On the left-hand side here is a thing called Agents. I'm going to click that. And what you find here are agents that you have starred. This means favorited. We haven't done any of those yet. I've obviously done a few. Agents that you have built. First time you use it, you're not going to have any. But I've got, another 251 here that I built. And then what you will see is you will see over 100 agents in these various categories. Okay? Check out these agents. You'll get a bunch of ideas. You'll get a bunch of tools that you can start using. And the other cool thing about these agents is you can click on them and sort of read about them. You can run them, or you can make a copy of them. And so all of these agents that I was just showing you, you can think of these as being templates, because they are. You can make a copy of them and use them as templates. And that's extraordinarily powerful. I'm going to show you one here, which is an agent that when you run it, it just gives you this little form. What do you want to research? And then after I've done my research, do you want me to generate for you a conversational podcast between two synthetic people discussing the research? Okay. It was an amazing podcast, by the way, that it generates. If you say yes, it will do that for you. And then you say next. And then on average, this agent here takes about 20 minutes to run and costs on average $2.60 actually of usage fees, because you have to pay the model providers for using them. Yeah. And on one hand, you're like, wow, that sounds expensive. On the other hand, what you get from this is something that like you would get from a consulting firm that you hired to go and analyze, your competitors or your market or, whatever else there is. And so the output of that are these executive summaries that pull out things. This is a 51-minute read. This one didn't have a podcast, but if it did, it embeds it in here. All of this stuff has citations on it. None of this data comes from the model. This agent is a professional Google researcher. It generates a plan to search Google, creates sophisticated Google search queries, executes them, crawls all the websites, gets all the data, analyzes all the data, creates a second plan to go deeper, creates all the queries, creates the permutations of the queries, executes all the queries, gets all the results, crawls all the results, gets all the data, analyzes all the data, goes and searches Google image search to source the images. When there's numeric data, it automatically generates charts and graphs. It pulls out relevant things, and you get an absurd report. And at the bottom of it, you get all of the sources. Here's where all of the things that were used from, where they were used. And you can now have it, you can download it, you can share it, you can publish it. It's an artifact. By default, it's private, but you can also make it public or whatever. And you got that by this one little agent, which, by the way, you can make a copy of. And I wanted to make a copy of this thing so you guys could see that we built one that had one block. This one's got a bunch of different blocks. And again, there's many different types of blocks that you can learn to use. This one's ours now. We can just play with it. We can modify things in here. You also realize that most of the things you need to modify are actually just the words, the commands. Like the flow is the same. You still want it to do all the Google searches and all of that. But what kind and what do you want it to do? You can simply bias all of that by editing these plain English things. You are now capable of creating a custom deep researcher for anything you want. It can only be for Twitter, or it could only be for your competitors' websites, or it could only be for whatever, okay? And so again, the ability for you, once you understand and you're not afraid of this stuff anymore, to then create absurdly valuable things in a matter of minutes, expect to have your minds obliterated and in aha moments when you realize what you can do. Let's play some, actually, I'm going to stop here for a moment. Okay. I'm going to stop before I build another agent. Let's see if there are some questions. Luis, if you're still around, maybe you can bubble them up.
Yeah,
Only if there are, or if there aren't, I'm happy to move on.
Just to keep the discussion still like pretty high level without diving into specific features, there are a couple of themes that popped up in the chat. One of the things that's really apparent about several people who have joined us today is that they're coming from enterprises.
Mhm.
And so there were many questions regarding certain enterprise features as well as data and privacy. And I'm wondering if maybe we could just quickly touch upon that.
Yeah, again, so in our on our website, you can find a few things. You can find a bunch of information, obviously, about our pricing, and you can go to our university, and you can see all kinds of things here. And as you keep scrolling down here, you will find things that have to do with security and privacy. So here's our trust center, various case studies. This browser extension that I've been using is completely open source. You can go here, and your IT team, if they need to see it, can take a look at it. They can, even if they wanted to, build their own thing. You can see things here for enterprise, all kinds of enterprise features, single sign-on, obviously, compliance, like all kinds of things that we offer. You want to talk to us about this, just email us, contact us, and we'll tell you all about this enterprise plan and kind of all the things you can do, including if you want, you can self-host this thing. In larger enterprises, you can use your own models. It's like sort of many different things that we make it easy to do inside of enterprises. Now, if you're not an enterprise, you're just an individual, you don't care about that, then obviously it's even easier because you start using it. And that's what I'm teaching you to do now. Okay? So enterprises welcome, got a bunch of enterprises, again, and government, and we shine there.
Thanks, Dimitri.
Mhm.
Yeah, other questions are mainly about different kinds of features, and so I think it's probably best to, keep building.
Okay, I'm going to build
And
a blog post generator.
yeah,
Is that good? And we'll turn it into
mhm.
a LinkedIn post generator.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sweet. Let's do it. Okay. Again, I'm going to keep drilling this into you guys that by the time you leave, you got the muscle memory. You say my workspace, build new agent. We're going to build all these things from scratch. Um, and then we're going to get a new agent scaffold here. Or not. What happened here? Oops. Weird. Okay. And we're going to call this agent blog post generator. And then again, I should give it an icon, but I'm going to be lazy and I'm not going to give it an icon. And the way this thing is going to work is we're going to create an application. So we're going to need some front ends here. We're going to create an application that allows us to get some information about what kind of blog post we want to create. And then we're going to write that blog post. And to do that, we use these things called user input. So I'm just going to click here, plus user input. And now, again, the other thing you should have noticed that you click on the left here, and this stuff on the right changes. So if I click on this one, I get these controls. I click on this one, I get these controls. I click on this one, I get these controls. And so you select here on the canvas, you configure here on the right-hand side. You can also right-click these things, and there's obviously interfaces here as well, but today we're not going to be using them. Okay, a user input is kind of like what it sounds like. It's a screen or a form field to show the user, human, uh, like to create form fields, basically, is the way you can think about it. So this one is a long text. We can create also short text things and multiple choice that are text multiple choice and image multiple choice and ratings and, upload file and upload images and upload audio and like all that stuff. Okay. Here, I'm just going to go with short text here, and I'm going to call this, topic. And I'm going to say, what should we write about? Okay. And so we're creating a form field. By the way, we can already run this. So we could either publish it and run it, or we can preview it. And we could say open draft agent. And we will see a form field. What should we write about in a button? Okay. So we've got a front end interface for this agent. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some things to it. And let's collect maybe another one that we're going to call style. And I'm going to say in what style. And then we could create another one if we wanted to, and let's do that. And let's call this length. And then I'm going to also use short text here, and I'm going to say how many words. And so now, again, if we open up our agent draft, we will see a form that is what should we write about, in what style, and how many words. Okay. And by the way, now we could actually say next, and this thing is going to say, whoop, oh, I didn't type anything in. There we go. That's what it said. And it's going to say, great, I've completed successfully, because it did. It's, it went from here and it ended. Okay. But we don't want it to end. We want it to do something. So we're going to click plus, and we're going to use our friendly generate text block that we've already done. Okay. Meaning learn to use. We used it on the last one. And you remember I was teaching you about using these XML tags. And so I'm going to use some of these. And I'm going to say topic, and then, we can say end topic. And then inside of these, I can use double curly braces, and I can type in topic. And then I can do that again, and I can say style. And I can end style. And then in style, I can say double curly braces style. Okay. By the way, don't worry about if these colorings are off. Sometimes this thing does that, as long as this format is there. And then I'm going to say the last one, which is length, right? And then we're going to make a copy of that. And then we're going to go here, and then we're going to say length. And so I'm taking all of these user inputs that we've collected here that are now stored in these variables, and I'm going to send them to an AI model. In this case, I'm going to leave it here, default Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And I'm going to say, write a blog post. Basically, I can say just write a blog post, because again, it will also see something that says topic, and inside that topic, it's going to have whatever I type in. It's going to see something called style, and inside of it, it's going to see what I typed in for style, and then it's going to see length, and it's going to understand that this is number of words. And a better way maybe to name this number of words. Doesn't matter, both will work. And I can say write a blog post, and then display this to the user. And again, let's publish it, although we could have run it obviously as a draft, but let's publish it. And now we've got this, how AI will transform business. And then in what style, I could say Gary V. Does everybody know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? He's got sort of a unique way of communicating, and so sometimes that's the easiest way to demo. Sometimes you could say Shakespeare, and it all comes back in Old English. But in how many words, whatever, I'll say 1,000 words. Okay. And so again, we built this application. Like that wasn't hard, right? And I can say next. And now this thing is going to go off there. And I just said, write a blog post. Says, okay, you also want a blog post about how AI will transform business? Listen up, because I'm about to drop some real talk about, it's like the way Gary speaks. I can't do a Gary impression here. Luis does great impressions. But this certainly sounds like Gary. Okay. And so that's pretty awesome. Like, we just built a thing. It's an application. Like, you could now imagine building all kinds of applications for yourself or for others that give you some form fields to collect some data and then use as a model to do something. In this case, it just displays back to you a blog post, but it doesn't have to. And so let's go back here.
Really quick, just want to point out that like the stuff, those XML tags that Dimitri created, it looks like some people were mentioning like this looks a little bit like code, but like what Dimitri's doing here is just labeling these things.
That's the way you label things for models.
Yeah.
As you guys learn to use AI models, if you did more research on how do you prompt AI models, you would have stumbled across this concept of you should wrap things in context. And the wrapper is this thing called XML, which again are just these, angle brackets. They look like HTML, angle brackets. And inside of it, you write an English word or a French word, whatever it is, language you're prompting it in. You write a word or words, and that describes to the model what's going to be inside of those things, what's going to be inside of those words. In the past, you could
Yeah.
have been verbose. You could have said, the topic is this, and like write that out. And the length, it should be this many words in length. And, in the style of this person. You see, you could have like written that out in this like a long form, or this is the way models prefer it. And you should prefer it once you grok it. There's just a much faster way of articulating what you want, of configuring things in plain English. And so, again, that's about as complex as this thing gets. These are not code. They don't execute. They're just words. You can use any word you want. You can misspell them. You can change them. They're there to help the model understand what's that piece of content in the context of what you're asking it to do with it. Make sense?
Yes.
We're going to build some more of these. Okay.
Thanks, Dimitri.
So there's that blog post generator we just built. I'm going to click here and I'm going to say duplicate. And so we just made a copy of the blog post generator. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to call this, content, blog to LinkedIn. We're going to make another one that's content to LinkedIn. And so that's all I'm doing here is I'm just changing the name of it. And the rest we're going to keep the same and we're going to keep going. Now, remember what we did here is we called a model, we gave it all of these things we collect in the form, and then we just gave it a command, write a blog post. Now, it doesn't matter where these things live. They can be below this. They can be sandwiched with other things. It doesn't matter. As long as they are wrapped in context, the model knows what these things are. And so it doesn't matter where you put them. We tend to put them at the top. We think that's the easiest way to sort of come back and understand what you're passing to it, because sometimes the prompt might be very long and this is like inputs go at the top, but it's up to you. Okay, so that's all we've done so far. And always in these blocks, we haven't changed this thing over here. You may not have even noticed it. And so this generate text block and many other blocks have this other section here that's called output behavior. Now, the output behavior we've been using is display to the user, but we can change that. We can make it save to variable. And I could give this variable a name. I can call it anything I want. A variable is just a way to store data in a label. Yeah? For those of you who don't know what a variable is. And so now we have this variable blog post, and inside of it is what? Is all of this text. Meaning next time we're on it, we're going to get this blog post and all of this text. That's going to be what's inside the variable blog post. I'm then going to continue, and I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to say view all blocks. And here I'm just going to search for LinkedIn, and you can see that we have this create LinkedIn post block. And I can add that. And the way this block works, again, each block is a different thing on the right-hand side that you configure. This one has three things. One is what account do you want to use to post to? So if you've never configured any account that you've given your agent the right to post to, you simply have to log into that account. And then you're done. You've given a credential. And then you have to give it, like, what do you want to post? And in this case, what we want to post, right, is the blog post, that thing we just created as the output of calling this model. Right? We called the model instead of displaying it to the user. We're going to save it in this variable blog post, which we're then going to use inside of this block. We're just going to say, here's the blog post, post about it. You can also change visibility. I'm going to leave this as is. And again, now we can simply publish it and run this agent. But we're not going to do that because, again, with age and experience comes realization that we probably shouldn't just be posting things to LinkedIn without first like looking at them. Like who knows what could happen. And so we probably want to supervise this more. And so before we post to LinkedIn, but after we generate the blog post, I'm going to click plus, and then I'm going to use another block here called display content. We haven't used this one before. It looks just like the generate text block, meaning it's black. And this sort of looks like it, but it's not the same thing. Generate text block calls a model and brings back results, in this case, that it stores in this blog post variable. The display content block does nothing but display things. It can display text, like I could write, this is the blog post. You know, it can do all kinds of things here. You know, I can use this thing called Markdown to do formatting and all that. And so I want to see this blog post before we post it. And this will also pause execution, display content, because it's going to wait for us to read it and say, I've read it. And so we're going to use this. It's called human in the loop. So let's go ahead and publish this thing again. And let's open it up. And let's do our post again, how AI will kill us all in the type of Gary V. And then how many words? Again, let's stick with 1,000 because we could do more, but why spend the tokens? And then we say next. And so this thing, again, we can see what it's doing. We've gone through the user input. We're now calling the model, and it's generating what? Let's see it in chat. What is it generating? Generating a blog post. See, there it is. Cool. And this is now paused on this display content. And we can read it. And if we say next, it will proceed to the next block and post it to my LinkedIn. Now, I'm not going to post it to my LinkedIn, so then I have to go delete it and LinkedIn gets confused. But this is how it works. And so if you want to build it, this is it. By the way, you could then say, write a tweet storm and post it to Twitter if you wanted to, and Instagram and whatever else, right? Okay. So this is another, again, kind of a thing like this, which is blog to LinkedIn. Now, let's go back. And I actually want to change this a little bit, which is I'm going to make a copy of this blog to LinkedIn thing. And then I'm going to change this trigger mode to be browser extension. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this, this topic. Topic thing. I'm going to get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. And then I'm going to keep these style and length things. And then here, I'm going to get rid of this topic thing because we're not passing it in. But what I am going to put in here is content. And here I'm going to put that page content thing we talked about. So I'm going to pass into it the page on which we're going to click this button. By the way, I should have renamed it. This one is going to be called web, to LinkedIn, basically, post. We're going to be on any web page, and we're going to be able to take whatever is there, rewrite it in some way. In this case, again, with the style that we're going to choose in the length, and then post it to social media. Okay, you guys following me here? Yeah, okay, cool. And so, we can get rid of this blog post. By the way, if we wanted to, we should return here that this is, we'll keep this as blog post because I don't want to sort of mess with anything else here. And so again, if we publish this thing now, and then we can go back to like this thing, let's say, and then we can go find our little agent. Come on, refresh. Did I publish it? There it is. And I can run it. It's going to grab this content. So it already has all of this content. Now it says what style. And then again, thing. And I'm going to say next. And it's going to grab all of this in a sense as the topic. And it's going to write it in the style of Gary V. And then it's going to get ready for me to post it to LinkedIn. Actually, I forgot one thing here. This wouldn't have been a very good post to LinkedIn. Let me do another thing just to add to this. You remember here that we created a blog post, right? But we really don't want to post blog post type content to LinkedIn. So right after this, I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to say generate text, and I'm going to say turn this blog post into a LinkedIn post. Use emojis. I don't need to actually say much more to it. And here I'm going to save this variable as LinkedIn post. And then here, I'm actually going to display not the blog post because we kind of don't care about that. What we want to display is the LinkedIn post. And then, of course, here, we're going to want to post not the blog post, but the LinkedIn post. Okay. And again, so let's go ahead and publish that. And again, we could run it again. This one's going to show us the blog post. That's not really what we want. What we want is the LinkedIn post. And so let's run it again, and it will show us the LinkedIn post that will be ready to go. Gary V. And then, yeah, I'm kind of creating a Frankenstein agent here for you. Like this doesn't make any sense. You're going to write a blog post first, then do that. Like that. But I want to show you that like you can expand these things really easily by chaining model calls, by creating human in the loop interfaces so you can see what's happening before you let them go, to create different types of formats. A blog post is different than a LinkedIn post. Like they feel very different, right? This one's got like hashtags. It's got like emojis, right? It's like in Gary V style. And so it's really easy to build like that with MindStudio. And especially again, once you go through like the blocks and you can see all the different things you can do, where you spend more time with our tutorials, or you come to a boot camp where you spend more time with this, you start to realize, oh, wow, it's actually not any harder than what I'm showing you here. There are some other concepts that you need to learn. There are some blocks that require more configuration, so you need to learn about them. But the level of difficulty is about this, and that's not difficult. Now, when you're first exposed to it, your head might be spinning. We're going to call it getting queasy. And if it is, that's great. Like that's our job, is to make you guys stretch your minds on this. And then there's a point after that queasiness, which is the point of mastery. And you can all master this. You know, tens of thousands of people have now mastered it on their own without any of our help. Okay. Okay. I'm going to pause here for a bit and again, take questions. We can double click on anything. So
Yeah,
any other or does anybody want to come up and ask a question? That's fine too. Up to you.
can we quickly go over like our blocks list and just showcase like some of
Mhm.
the different services that we can connect to? Because I think a
Mhm.
lot of people, I'm seeing a lot of ideas in the chat of like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, and
Yeah.
our answer is like, we have a block.
There's a block for that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a block for that.
Cool. All right. Let's do that. You can see my screen. Yeah. Cool.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, awesome. We're going to build a new agent. You know why? Because building new agents is free. So build a new agent. You got an idea? It's like a scratch pad. You got an idea? Build a new agent. By the way, there's a little button over here. If you click on this, you can add a note. You can draw a note if you click on this thing here, right? Or you can right click here and you can say add a note. You can change the color of the notes and you can write things and then you can sort of move them around like ideas. You can sketch out ideas and then build them as you're doing that. So you can start with these notes. I like to start with a piece of paper personally and like draw it all out like that. I think Luis does that too. But again, here we're just like flying straight up. Okay. So again, this could be one workflow or many workflows. That deep researcher I showed you has got like a dozen workflows. Workflows are just ways to organize your agent in the parts of it like that it does. All I need to do though is hit this plus button, excuse me. And then again, we have some blocks here that are very common that are used in building agents. And then when you say view all blocks, we have a bunch of blocks. Let's quickly go through some categories. We've already seen generate text. Generate text means call a large language model and interact with it. Yeah. We also have generate image, which does the same thing, but for image models. Everybody's generated an image somehow by writing a prompt. Great, you can do that now. Your agent can do it. You can do it programmatically. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. You can generate video. I showed you my daughter's slime generator thing. Yeah, that is just an agent. In fact, let's take a look at that quickly here. I think that will help. Let's look at my builds and Una slime generator. My daughter's name is Una. What does the Una slime generator do? First of all, the Una slime generator, two flows. One flow just triggers another flow. It doesn't really do anything here. So this is the only flow. Um, Una slime generator first calls a large language model, generates text, and asks the model to create a recipe basically for a slime that could have different types of textures and different types of colors and different types of, other add-ins they're called, etc. And you see, and then it builds the slime and then it writes a prompt to then be passed into a video generation model to generate the video of that slime. So first it like envisions a slime by calling a language model, and it envisions the slime and it writes the prompt, the script for the short video that then gets passed to a video generation model that generates the video and then it generates the metadata. So it creates a name for the slide, something that's fun, satisfying, catchy. It writes a description, one paragraph description of the slime, etc. And then it posts all of that into a Google Sheet that my daughter has access to. And she takes those videos and she likes to choose the music. And so she puts them into CapCut and organizes them. But like all the materials are already pre-generated for as soon as this agent runs with a click of a button. And it actually generates 7 videos because each video is 8 seconds long and generates 7 videos for just under a minute of video content per video that she does. Okay, so I showed you this because of, again, showing you that there's generate video model. It's dumb easy to use. It just takes in a prompt. You get to choose what video models you use. And then you configure the duration and does it have audio and what's the aspect ratio? And then you can give it like a reference prompt. In this case, it's a top-down shot of her actual workspace. Those are her hands, but I give that to the model. And so everything the model does is actually on that background. And by the way, with lighting effects and all that other stuff that it picks up. Okay. Sorry, so let me close this. That was not the point of this. The point was the models. That's generate video. You can generate charts, so numeric visualizations. You can generate pixel perfect assets because you can generate HTML and images of any type in PDF that are all in a well-structured document. So you can create print materials. You can create collaterals of any type by using this generate asset. You can do computer vision. You can give the model, like you can easily create a user input, which is an upload, just like I uploaded my resume. You can get people to upload a snapshot, or collect it right in their interface. They just push a button and it uploads that and it analyzes what they're looking at and does something with it, calculates the calories potentially in a meal. Like those kinds of things are now like dumb easy to build. You can build them in in like 5 minutes, those kinds of applications. It's insane. Like we blow our own minds here every single day. Like not a day goes by where I'm not laughing at the absurdity of what's available. Okay. Text to speech, transcribe audio, that generate podcasting, that again generates a podcast of 2 people. They sound amazing, talking about anything you want them to talk about. You want to give them your marketing collaterals and just have them have this conversation about this and like let people just listen to your new podcast of like why your company is amazing and all it does. This thing can generate that stuff automatically all day long. Okay. Scraping URL, meaning being able to have your agent go off and get content from a web page and analyze it. A dominant thing here that people tend to build with MindStudio, meaning there's like many different patterns. If you go to learn, over here, a thing called templates. One of these templates is called track website changes. Scrape a URL regularly and monitor any changes on the website. You want to keep an eye on your competitors, what they're doing. Monitor their terms of service pages automatically. Every day, your agent goes off, says, is there anything new here? Nope, don't worry about it. Is there something new here? Yep, analyze it. Is it relevant? No, they just made some font changes. Great, don't worry about it. Is it relevant? Yeah, they've sort of changed the way their terms of service work. Yes, it is. Great. I need to analyze it now and email my owner, the agent owner, or whatever, put it in the database or trigger something of like some material change has now happened in this page. You can monitor, obviously, prices. You can monitor competitors' products. There's another thing here, monitor YouTube trends. So a few weeks ago, this guy blew my mind that I talked to. That's a day trader. And he told me about how he has AI agents that monitor Google Trends. Does anybody know what Google Trends is? Show of hands. Everybody's off of video. I've got a few of you that are left here in video to keep me company. Thank you. Okay, so some of you know what Google Trends are. Trends.google.com. You can see how many people are searching for TSLA, for Tesla. Okay, you can see in the past day, in the past hour, past 4 hours across different regions and all kinds of categories. And on one hand, this is kind of cool data that you can see like where traffic is coming from and what else do people search about and all of that. It's actually not all that useful, except for like people that buy ads or do SEO work. But when you can track this programmatically, an AI agent can track hundreds of words simultaneously, effortlessly, and then analyze them together as a set. And when you can do that, well, you can now look for Tesla's supply chain and Elon crazy and whatever else, and take all of that data together and analyze it and detect with it consumer sentiment before traders have detected consumer sentiment. And if you're day trading, that is priceless. And so one agent monitors Tesla, another agent monitors others, lots of agents running, and they just run, they don't bother you. They just do your work for you. Okay. Again, this pattern of monitor something programmatically is incredible. It's a ginormous thing. Okay. User input we've looked at. I'm not going to go through all of these. There's a lot, so I'm going to skip around like very quickly. It's this user context that allows the agent to interact with the user and interview them, ask them a bunch of disambiguating questions about what it is that we want to collect and do before we run it. You can query any kind of data source, relational databases, document databases, vector databases, etc. You can call any API, right? And so it integrates with everything. Okay. These things of deep research, I'm not going to go into it, but this is incredible. I did an entire 2-hour masterclass on what this means. You can find it. Luis, maybe you could find it or something. Let's paste it so people can see it, what you can do with this. There are obviously flow control blocks of like logic blocks and menus and running other workflows and running JavaScript or Python functions, connecting to various types of social media services. Again, programmatically, being able to do social listening. What are people saying about you, your competitors? Being able to create content and automatically post it, connect to various other, services that everybody uses, Google services, send emails, send Slack messages, send SMSs, get people's email addresses. I showed you my thing that'll queries this other database and, a bunch of other things. And again, here's another 663 other things. You can programmatically generate, presentations using this Gamma thing or, manage MailChimp or Notion or in Typeform. You get the point. Lots of things that you can do, and they're all available here to you. View all blocks, go browse around these things, play around with them, put it on here. Like, what do you need to generate a podcast? Well, you need what's the podcast about? Meaning this could be like the script of the podcast. You need the duration, how many minutes. You need, if you wanted to do a cover image, you need to give it a cover image URL. So you need to like to have an image somewhere. The episode title, the episode description. Again, all of these can be variables, right? So you can like generate these before this, and then automatically create these things dynamically. And that's it. That's all it takes to make a conversational podcast, looking at any length, basically, that sounds amazing. Sounds like humans. Like this thing automatically says we're synthetic, but like, but if you didn't say that, people would believe that these were real humans talking to one another.
Yeah. And there's blocks that connect to social media services. There's blocks that connect to your whole Google suite. So it's any other services that you're have, Data, Notion, Coda, like a bunch of these different platforms. You can tap into those to get information to provide context to your AI agents very easily, and you can easily write back to those services once you've processed with AI.
Yeah. So again, so what we're gonna get done here in whatever, we got another half hour to go, is our goal is to get all of you guys to see a few things. One is this is an extraordinarily valuable skill. This is the new digital literacy. This is a competitive advantage skill, whether you're employed at some company. If you are, your boss and their bosses desperately want you to become an expert. Do it, you'll get promoted. Okay. You get ahead by doing that. Okay. If you are looking for a job, there is no skill set that I can tell out in the wild that is more desired now than AI literacy, especially the ability to build, not just like know how to prompt, but like to build automations. Holy crap, Azoli, any company, anywhere wants to hire you. So if you're looking for a job, go do that. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to optimize your own thing, or again, you want to optimize your business processes because you're a team leader, etc., I want you to feel like, yeah, it seems like I can do it. Because it is that you can do it. You can now start, even with those few patterns that we showed you. Make a little browser extension button, make a little application, you see, where you can now start creating countless extraordinarily valuable, super high ROI things inside your own workflows or your company's workflows. And the rest is infinitely more learning because AI is changing so rapidly that new capabilities are coming out every week. And the cool thing about it, as new capabilities come in, we add them to MindStudio. And so as long as you know how to do MindStudio, which is putting blocks together on workflows and configuring them, well, you now get access to all these new things that are coming. Yeah. And of course, there's like many other blocks to learn. There are many patterns to learn. And that's why we do boot camps, for example. And you can learn them all on your own, completely free of charge in our Learn section, anytime. Tens of thousands of people have learned to do it that way. You can do it too. If you want to join these other boot camps, we sort of unpack all of that in these kinds of things where we do a bunch of talking. You guys ask a bunch of questions. We build a bunch of projects together. You pass an exam if you want, and you become certified. Do you need to get certified? Not in the least. No. Like, you can do whatever you want. Okay. If you get certified, there's value to it because again, everybody's sort of looking for people that they can trust that have a skill set that is there. And so certification is certainly valuable, but to be productive on your own, you certainly don't need it. Okay. What else could we talk about?
I think this would be a good time. Yeah, Justin's got the right idea. Why don't we bring a few folks up to ask questions? If you have a
Perfect.
question, please use the raise your hand tool that's found in React. And then we'll go in order of hands raised. So, Justin, go ahead.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Hey, awesome. Hey, Dimitri, thanks for hosting this. This is really rad. I've kind of followed you for about 18 months and just seen all of the sort of possibilities and the quick prototyping that's possible is just really mind-blowing. I wondered if since you have so much program experience, if you could just speak to for a moment in terms of building customer-facing apps, kind of maybe speak to your opinion of the sort of no code here versus maybe a coding version. And do you feel like if somebody like myself wanted to blast out 10 apps and sort of test them, that we can do that here with this system?
Yeah, 100%. So two things is one, you already saw how easy it is to go here and say plus and add a user input. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And you just add a user input and just like we did, create new. And again, here, let's call it topic to replicate what we did. And we said, what about? And so this by itself has now created, again, we can just preview this. We can open our draft agent and this created this little form here. Now this form is kind of boring and white and non-interactive. And And you saw that I can add many elements to this form and make it like sophisticated and look like an app. And again, this thing, runs, it's responsive, so it'll render on mobile, it will render on desktop, yada, yada. But there's actually built into MindStudio this thing right here.
Mm-hmm.
If you say custom and then configure interface, you actually get a full vibe coding interface in here that
Nice.
allows you to create any kind of a custom front end that you can imagine. This will output React, and this will be a responsive, pixel perfect to anything you want. You've got access to code, but you can also ask it here to build stuff and go back and forth with it and build the front end of your application to be much more sophisticated and interactive and multi-page and look any which way you want. And again, without writing any code, just like working back and forth with this thing. You can also do that on outputs using this generate asset block, which has a similar type of interface that we can vibe code our output. And then, of course, everything in the middle, we already know are a bunch of blocks that process things and call models and do all of that.
Nice. So you can use all of the blocks and then customize like to a really high level, it looks like.
To an infinite level, meaning to the ultra level, because you have
Yeah.
access to the code. And so if you
Yeah.
want it to be just a little bit darker,
Yeah.
great. Or you want it to move one pixel to the left, move it, either
That's
with words or with code.
Yeah. That's really cool. And then the last question, I don't want to hog the mic here. In terms of security, the security of these apps, well, how could you maybe speak to that?
Yeah, sure. So look, I started writing code in 1984, where if you wanted security, you kind of had to like build your own from scratch on everything. We don't live in that world anymore.
Okay.
Secure web applications have long been secure as long as you follow modern practices, which we do. And so these are as secure as, your Gmail or something else, right?
Okay.
But the web applications,
Yeah.
And then the only other place that you might be concerned about, like security and privacy, would be like, well, when you talk to the models, like, are they stealing your data and training on it, and now it's going to leak all that out? Again, as long as you trust the cloud, like you get to pick what models you use.
Yeah.
If you don't trust Google and Anthropic, cool,
I
don't use
understand.
them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much. This is awesome. I'm gonna completely dive into this. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank
Cool.
you. Vanessa?
Hi, Dimitri. It's great to meet you in person.
Great to meet you.
So my question is more of a 30,000-foot overview. It's going to be an investment in time to master MindStudio to the level that I want to be able to master it. And so I'm weighing, just to back up, you said you don't have any marketing people. I found out about you guys through Manus AI because I was searching for a platform that I could monetize agents on. So my question is, in the boot camp, do you go into more detail? I want to be able to to attach an agent to a database, to a knowledge base, monetize those. And just can you speak to the time investment it's going to take to master MindStudio versus the return compared to other options? What I'm liking about it is I don't have to piecemeal in MindStudio. Everything's in one place, and I don't have to go all these other places and deal with a bunch of different platforms. The simplicity I'm liking, but just speak to that if you would.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking a question. Great question. It depends.
Okay.
We've seen people, again, kind of just grok all of it, just like all snaps in together. And in an afternoon, they're quite proficient. Like they still learn nuances and best practices, but like in an afternoon, they could build you 20 agents the next day. Okay. We've seen some people, like we just did a 2-day boot camp, which were 2 full days, like 8 to 5 p.m. And people came out of there, beyond that, like true masters. Again, more to learn, but certainly extraordinarily capable. We also just did a 30-day boot camp where we took things slower. And those people also, they did more projects. They mastered some things more deeply, perhaps, must have, than the 2-day boot camp because there's like limited amount of time. But like those are the times. This is not something that will take you, months to learn.
Okay.
This is that if you invest 10 hours, certainly you are a master.
Okay, I can do
to be
that.
able to build this without like sweat,
Okay,
without sweat. Yeah.
okay. All right. From an entrepreneur's perspective, I'm just pulled in a bazillion different directions, and I
Oh, of
tend to
course. It's a
spend
great question.
I can spend 3 days on MindStudio, then not touch it for 7 days. And because it's so new to me, I have to go back and relearn where things are and how. And
Yeah.
it's there. So okay, you
Yeah.
answered my
Yeah.
question.
But the other answer to you is like, what's the outcome? Is it worth it? The ROI is insane. You
Okay.
get to automate everything that you've been doing manually, which is a lot. Whoever
Yeah.
we are, we all do things, you know. You don't need
Yeah.
to do most of those things. Build your own little buttons and automation.
Okay.
That by itself frees you up. I would argue that's
Right.
priceless.
Right.
And then for your business, you get to go and build little things.
Right.
And most things take, 5 minutes to 15 or 30 minutes to build. Like these
Okay.
projects, once you've learned to build them, are not
Mm-hmm.
projects that take, days or weeks.
Right.
They
Okay.
take minutes, an hour. Like, yeah, I don't know what you'd do for
Okay.
2 hours, other
Okay.
than like pixel tweak. But but
Okay.
but like that's what we're talking about. These are like
Okay.
tiny amounts of time to build absurdly valuable,
All
save
right.
time and automate things. Yeah.
Okay. One more fast question. Can you integrate with QuickBooks?
It integrates with anything that has an API. And so
Okay.
I haven't looked at it, but I assume QuickBooks has an API, meaning if other things integrate to QuickBooks, then this thing can integrate to QuickBooks also.
Okay.
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 All right.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Uh-huh. You're very welcome. Sharisha?
Hi, Dimitri. Thank you so much.
Hello.
I really appreciate it. I have a question wherein you have showed um, the financial venture capitalist taking all the thing. Is that a free built-in bot, or do we, if at all, we have to use it because it is exactly the need that it is. Um, that is exactly what I'm looking for one of my uncle's company.
Okay. So
So
this is the financial analyst that I ran on
yeah,
the
but for
Tesla
him
slot.
it is yeah, for him it is a sales one that he's
Yeah.
I probably need to do exact the same steps that you
Great.
are doing
Well,
for the venture.
yeah, so I think like our YouTube tutorials, literally on MindStudio University, these are like the examples that we show in those. And so watch those,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be building it, within an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, but that is already there in that, or that I can you all take it, or I can watch your YouTubes and
Yeah,
build
you
it
should build
myself.
your own. You should build your own.
Okay.
Or look through the agents, and if you find any of the agents that we've got in those 100 that are similar to what you
Mm-hmm.
want, make a copy of them. But again, things like that
Okay.
are so quick to build that you can build your own custom one, and then you know how to tweak it because then you can play around with it, make it better.
Okay.
It might
Got
not
it.
be the
Thank you so
best
much.
on first run. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Yeah, you're
Dimitri.
welcome. Uh-huh. Ethan.
Hey, Dimitri, I love this. This is super fun. I love that you guys pass on the costs of the API calls. Do you have a usage view? So I come from a finance background originally. So is there like a really detailed breakdown of how much the different things are costing?
Absolutely. Every agent, you can set budget limits. You can restrict what models are used. You can set budget limits on a per agent basis, per employee basis that uses an agent, per company basis. There's like lots of controls that are built in. Just look at billing, to
Mhm.
the left on the left column. Look at the screens in billing, and you'll see stuff in there.
Yep. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Subhash?
Hey, Dimitri. So this
Hey,
is a great session. One thing I wanted to check, I believe there are obviously connectors to something like Slack, Gmail, so where I can use it for my productivity to see like what is my checklist, etc.
mhm,
But what if, there are these new note takers that are coming up like Granola or
mhm,
Otter,
mhm.
so which are fairly new. Can I build a connector which integrates all these communication channels of mine and build a productivity tool?
Totally. Granola, which I'm running and others, support calling APIs and being called by APIs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really easy to either for you to make the connector, or we might already have a connector, like we have connectors added all the time, or we can make those connectors to get that data. Also, some people have already taken data out of like Granola and other places and use them to put it somewhere, like a Google Sheets or Google
Right.
Drive or whatever.
Yeah.
You could just connect to that and grab it. There's like a bunch of ways to put all these things together. And yeah, you
Got
can
it.
make all kinds of crazy, amazing sources of truth and agents that then run upon them.
Good.
Yeah.
And just one other question. Imagine so like I want to track a particular topic like
Mm-hmm.
what's trending in AI, and I want to track,
Sure.
so some of the industry leaders, thought leaders, so what they're talking about, like, so I
Mm-hmm.
want something like a crawler that can crawl and find out every day like what people are talking and
Mm-hmm.
give me that list. So how can I build a crawler for this? Like I've seen like various examples where you're taking a particular application or a particular page and doing the analysis.
Mm-hmm.
But
We actually, I think we probably recorded it uh, uh, in the agent bootcamp. Maybe we can find those things. Or Luis, if we already have those videos published. But
Yeah.
look, meaning we've done that. That's really straightforward to do. I'm obviously not going to demo it here and now, but we'll keep publishing. Watch our YouTube tutorials. There are parts where we do those kinds of things. But you would
awesome.
use the scrape URL block. Really easy to build crawlers. Yeah,
Yeah.
like dumb
Thank
easy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean?
Thank you, Dimitri. This was really helpful. First of all, I really appreciate this. This ad came up on my LinkedIn post or wall this morning. I thought, okay, I have some time. Let me just jump in. And this is one of, I would say, most productive 2 hours I've spent this week. So thank you very much for that. Question I have is, I'm into coaching. So there's a lot of time I spend with one-on-one with people. And I've been mentioned this idea of creating a product around that, which someone can come in, put down necessary details, and I can provide the feedback that I usually give in a one-on-one, meetups. Now I have all the content and the guidelines and the guardrails, rules, all that is there. The only thing is, how do we build an app that can actually provide same kind of value, if not 100%, 80% value through this simple chat functionality. Now it requires someone, I need to collect some data from people, then process it. That goes through a bunch of documents that I have written in my past time, maybe some video that I've recorded, and based on all of that, provide some feedback. Now I have a couple of questions on that. One, is it possible to create this kind of agent and directly publish it on my website so that it becomes an app? Someone logs in, uses my website, provides all these details, and get the feedback they usually get in my individual sessions. And secondly, how can we make sure that they know how much they can ask? They only have some level of X number of queries or questions they can ask. After that, they have to buy either extra tokens or of that. So how do we make sure, how can I easily embed this app into my website and make sure that they know where they are in terms of token usage and if they have to buy more?
Yeah, the short answer is you can do both of those things really easily. How can you embed it is whenever you're in an agent, like this, for example, and we click here or click here, you go to the same place. There's a thing here called embedding. There's two ways you can embed it. You can embed it as an iframe, or you can embed it as a signed URL embedding. So it depends on like how much security you want in it, and also how much you want to be able to manage this per user. And so when you're using the signed URL embedding, then you can create authorized users, and those users can then be individually managed, and you can display to them how many tokens they've used and things like that. So straightforward. Again, we've got documentation on doing this. Check it out. If you struggle, ping us, let us know, but really straightforward to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so both of those are actually part of embedding. And so you got, yeah, okay, cool. Okay, who's next? Gary?
Hey, Dimitri, thanks for taking me on this great call. I have a question for you. I've kind of been a member in passing for a while now of the MindStudio program, but I have not found a way to actually work with Google Sheets. I know that you've got blocks here that create, fetch, and update Google Sheets. But
Mhm.
like, let's say you take an N8M process, for example, where it receives a webhook call and it, maybe goes to Stripe and gets some data and goes to another platform and gets some data, or maybe writes to another platform and such like
Uh-huh.
that. What I'm really trying to get at is like the row that I'm working with. So if I go and write something, I will need to take that data from that row specifically and then go and do other things with it. And I'm
Mhm.
finding that finding the actual row numbers is where it kind of falls or whatever. Do you have
Okay.
any thoughts on
Did
that?
you? Yes, it's straightforward to do, but I think this is like the wrong forum to troubleshoot what you might be having an issue with. So maybe like
Okay.
ping me or ask in our community.mindstudio.ai, and like we'll help you get it done. But yes,
Okay.
you can deal with specific rows.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh. You're welcome. Florence?
Hi there, Dimitri. Thanks so much for this. I've been following you since February, I think, and seeing you blow up on LinkedIn. I found you on LinkedIn. And just a bit about my background, I was affected by federal layoffs. I worked with USAID International Development. So we were the first agency to get hit. So you had you had mentioned about like the three different categories. If you're looking for a job, if you're, if you currently employed, get promoted, yada yada, entrepreneur. So I fall in two categories, the entrepreneur slash the looking for a job, like creating a job. Or so what would that angle look like from your perspective, right? Like what's the greatest demand that employers are looking for? Like if I wanted to do consultancy, for example.
Yeah, again, I think it's clear, at least it's clear to me, because I guess I'm just talking to so many people. It seems like everybody sees this, that no matter what the organization is, that organization is wanting their existing employees to be as AI literate as possible, and meaning in smart ways, applied AI, not just like to know buzzwords, but be able to like leverage it. Okay. Um, so that's one. They want all of their existing employees to do it. And then when they're still struggling with that, quite frankly, right? Because they just need to find ways to train them, and like they're sending them to our boot camps. Like we've had all kinds of like really interesting folks in our boot camps, meaning companies that are represented and like different job functions that are represented. Um, uh, the thing that they're looking for is like if they're looking for somebody in marketing, they're not looking for a marketer. They're looking for an AI automator to automate marketing. So they're looking for an AI agent builder that knows marketing. They're looking for an AI agent builder that understands, lead development. They're looking for an AI agent builder that understands, financial reporting. And now they don't have to like go and have a group of people, generating reports, every month, every quarter, every week, which like the teams of people doing this, that's crazy. We have teams of people doing that. As an agent, you can build in an hour because you like really nitpicked it. And wow, you can free all these people. They can do other things. They're smarter than that, right? Hold on one second here. Let's see if I can find some quick stuff for you guys here. So this is the last cohort of the boot camp that we had. Here were the kind of folks that were represented here, right? That like so people from all kinds of companies, large and small, show up and level up their skills in order to do whatever it is. This is an engineering manager. This is an engineer. This is a managing director of this. This is a senior product manager of Gen AI, principal product manager, product manager, technical staff program manager, technical program manager, project manager, product marketing, brand marketing, sales development, talent acquisition. You go on and on and on. It doesn't matter who you are. But the thing that matters is that you've got an expertise in something. And the most important thing you need expertise in is the ability to look at something and say, oh, I can now do it this way. I can now take that thing you're doing or I'm doing, and I can just build an agent to do that with a little button. And for this thing, I'm going to just automate it that every Wednesday at 4, it's just going to run and generate this report. And then these other things I'm going to do in this way. And like that skill set is the most valuable skill set in any organization right now. And moving forward, like humans are not going to be the ones sitting around brainstorming, in meetings about, marketing campaigns. That just didn't make any sense anymore. They're still in the loop. They're still making decisions. Having a marketing expertise in talent is of great value. But doing marketing work manually, that's not of great value. That's a liability.
Great, thank you. That's
Okay,
absolutely
you're welcome.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a few minutes left. Any other questions we can get to? And again, if you guys want to, please connect with us. Please play around with, the agents and that you have access to, make copies of them, watch some tutorials. Again, if you've got time for boot camps and you want to attend them, you're welcome to do that too. And if you just invest some time in it, you will do great. And it's easy. Every single last one of you can be a master of this thing. Coyote?
Thank you, Dimitri, sorry, I have used my camera. Thank you, Dimitri, for the presentation. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to bring to attention that I reached out to you regarding the AI sales. So I just want to bring it to the top of the pile of your inbox. Maybe if you have a moment.
Yeah, no, I apologize. As you can imagine, have overwhelmed with various types of messages and things, and so I've kind of got a system that I use to process all of that. If I haven't gotten to you, I apologize. But if you've messaged me, you're in my system, and sooner or later something might happen. That's like all I can promise.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Rohit?
Yeah, hi Dimitri. Thank you so much for the session. It was really awesome. I know my weekend is going to be busy now, but thank you so much. I just have a quick question. I know I can build this with your agent. That's my plan one to go this weekend. But yeah, I'm like a student, in a recent graduating now. So I have zero AI literacy, right? So as a suggestion, like since you are into this field, so what would be the best place to start with this AI journey? So is it through the MindStudio, directly building the apps, or is it go to the basics? So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. A lot of people think that to become like AI literate, they need to go and redo math and understand algorithms and understand gradient descent and reinforcement learning and all that. Listen, you don't need any of that. None of that is remotely valuable. It doesn't add anything to your ability to build things with AI. It doesn't matter if you know how it's built, any more than it matters if you know how to fabricate a CPU or a GPU. It doesn't help you use software any better, right? It doesn't have to use the computer any better if you know how the computer is made or how electricity flows through it or whatever. So like none of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is you get to choose. If you want to go and build models, you want to get a job at OpenAI and build models. That's one path. Go study it. It has nothing to do with MindStudio. If you want to learn to be able to use AI, like when you're talking to models manually, that you're going to be the best at being able to get what you want out of them, then MindStudio is awesome for that because those are the fundamental skills you will learn as you build agents. You will learn how to prompt models better than amateurs. And another thing, of course, you will learn is how to like package this so it either runs autonomously or it's a button or it's an email recipient that you can do, right? So if you want applied AI, you've come to the right place. Just go down the path, you're going to be a master. If you want to again go into AI and like build the fundamental technologies, the models themselves, that has nothing to do with us whatsoever. You're in the wrong place. Go find some education on that. I think like that's the clear line. Applied or I want to build models. If you want applied, you're perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dimitri.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we are at time. I appreciate you being here. It's fun chatting with you. Piotr, your beard is awesome. Much love. Many, many compliments. That's amazing. I appreciated it here with this. My 11-year-old son went through a phase that he just like loved beards, and whenever I was like on Zoom, he would like show up and would say, "Him have a beard." Him have a beard, and I'm like, "Yep, him have a beard." And so he would have been pleased to see. He's 11 now. He's over beards, although he's getting a mustache. Yeah, so good to see you guys. We do these a bunch. If all of a sudden you want to show up in other ones, I'll see your faces, say hi. If you want to go connect with us on social media, please do. Go watch some tutorials. Spend your weekend doing this. I warn you that many people, including myself, have found ourselves in situations where we want to go to sleep, but we have an idea and we say, well, just one more. Because you know that like in the next 5 minutes, you can kind of build that thing you just like came up with. And then you're like 20 minutes in and you're like making it better. And then you have another idea. And then you're like, oh, this is like an addiction. This is bad. I need to go to sleep. So, but that's what it feels like. Because once you realize that thing now that you've been doing your whole professional life, you can just like never have to do that thing again. That's very compelling. Great to see you guys. Be well. Stay in touch, and good luck. Post on LinkedIn. Brag. Show what you're doing. If you want to do me a favor, go on LinkedIn. Tell them about the experience you just had here, and maybe other people might want to join that too in our next one that's coming up next week, like that. Let them know. We'd certainly appreciate that. All right, guys. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thanks, Dimitri.
Mhm.
Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Great job,
Thank you so
Dimitri.
much.
You're a rock star.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.